Welcome to this week's episode of Chaile Time, where we're looking at all the dynamics and trying to help our people, which is you, how to improve the way you run things at your workplace. Toby, welcome to this week's episode.
Thank you, Chepo. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you again, too.
Yeah, so how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. And how are you?
No, I'm well. I'm dealing with a sensitive case today. So, I received some information, or a company had sent me a message which is quite shocking. We're dealing with, once again, capital
versus
labor.
The story of labor
Employers
relations.
and employees. And you know what, Chepo, there? And I always say this, it's great to have a good corporate culture in the business. But there's a dog in every one of us.
Yeah.
It ultimately comes down to your own interest. I'm sorry, you can say what you want.
No, it is like that. Straightforward.
If you go to the CCMA, it's me versus you, that's it.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised, Chepo. I mean, yes, I've got this one employer now. We're dealing with a case now. I actually dismissed this employee during a proper process and all these kind of things. She was charged for gross negligence and gross dishonesty, and she's guilty, and now she went to the CCMA. But this employer, this company, they don't have a lot of issues. Actually, a very nice company to work for. So you don't really, I think I've been with him probably for like 2-3 years now. It's the first time there's actually a CCMA case. But the employer is taking it so personal. Now he wants to open a criminal case and a civil case because how does she dare to take me on at the CCMA?
Remember now. Remember when you work for a long time, or somehow when you have a relationship, some people does invest emotions into whatever that is happening. Myself and you, we worked together for a long time. We worked together since 2008. Mm-hmm. But I remember at some point we had to separate.
Separate ways.
You were so emotional that day. You understand? So people do invest emotions.
People do. But now in this case, and she's like, Toby, did you see? On this form, it's called now the 711 form, where you apply for or refer a case to the CCMA. She actually ticked the box that says, this dismissal is also procedurally unfair. She's actually tarnishing your reputation, Toby. How does she dare to say that you did not follow the right process? And I'm just like, they all say that.
True.
It's the way it is.
True.
When it comes to dispute, it's me in my corner and you in your corner. But anyway, the case we're talking about today has got to deal with pregnancy. Yes, man, employers just don't like pregnant women. Eh?
Did you have to put it that way? Was there no way you can sugarcoat it?
There's a curse to be in our industry. You always see these negative things,
Yes.
I suppose it's not, I'm obviously generalizing now, but sometimes it feels like the way capital don't like a woman who's pregnant. And I'm telling you now, I did training at a company recently, and when we came to this subject, it was a Mursa issue. Sorry for my language, but it was. We had to pause and to make coffee to discuss this issue. How can a woman come for a job interview, not disclose she's pregnant, and 2 weeks later, after she's employed, just by the way, I'm pregnant. Can't we dismiss her? It is such an inconvenience. And I had to tell this guy, yes, it's an inconvenience. I understand. But it's nothing compared to the social injustice you're going to commit if you're going to dismiss her because of her pregnancy. Mm-hmm. In the interest of justice, there's a greater story here. There's a greater context. There's the birth of humans.
Yes.
The creation of society that's at stake here.
Of which we are all part of that cycle.
I had to tell that guy, by the way, you've been born from a pregnant woman. Yes. If it wasn't for her being pregnant, you would not have been here. You see what's at stake? That versus your inconvenience.
Speed bump and a cliff.
You see, this is the thing. In labor law now, there are speed bumps. Like, for instance, maybe you pay your staff a day late because of some kind of system error. It's a speed bump. But there's one thing, this missing staff because they're pregnant. It's a cliff. And you tell the people there's a cliff coming. But they don't get off the road. They go for that cliff, you see. It's like health and safety. I tell the people, if you screw up with a dismissal, okay, let's say you unfairly dismiss somebody, you're probably going to have to reinstate the person or maybe pay a little bit of compensation.
3 months or something.
Yeah, it's not that bad, you see. But if you screw up in your health and safety, you'll probably go to jail. If somebody dies,
then
that's even a bigger cliff.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a mountain you are falling off there. But anyway, to come back to the pregnancy situation. Listen to this clip quickly, what I received from a client and my response.
Hi, Toby. I hope you're well. Toby, one of my staff, I think she started permanently in November last year. She found out that she's 5 months pregnant. So it means in the next 3 or 4 months, she's going to go on maternity leave, and I can't afford to continue paying her or employing someone else. She hasn't even worked for like a year yet by me, and then she's gonna go on maternity leave. So I just want to find out, how do I go about this? I feel like I'd rather employ someone else at this stage and not waste my time, because yeah, I think in the next few months she's gonna tell me she's going on maternity leave. So I don't know what to do about this now.
Hope you're well. Okay, let me just understand correctly. You want to dismiss an employee who's pregnant, a female employee is pregnant. If I understand correctly, look, this is a massive issue in terms of law. First of all, it's an automatic unfair dismissal in terms of the Labour Relations Act, which means that if she goes to the CCMA, the maximum compensation is 24 months of her salary that she can get against you. But that's besides the unfair discrimination case in terms of the Employment Equity Act, where there is no limit to compensation. So, yeah, yes, I will really advise against the idea or the notion of trying to get rid of a pregnant employee. That can be hundreds of thousands of rands, if not millions, against you. Yeah, so look, our laws are designed in such a way that females are protected to be pregnant and to bring their babies into the world and to nurture them. Yeah, but the good news is when she do go on maternity leave, it is unpaid, so you don't have to pay her, because you can claim UIF, and you can also find a temporary replacement for the 4 months that she will be away. And then I suppose employment will just continue as normal.
So Tsepo, can't actually say I want to dismiss a person.
Hey.
Yeah, Tsepo. So, what do you make of that one, eh?
Hey. No.
And you know what? She's actually a woman. This is a business owner who is a woman who wants me to fire a pregnant staff.
So how are you dealing with the speed bump in the cliff situation?
You must talk the language of capital. You know what is the language of capital?
No.
Oh, come on, Tsepo, it's money. You see, if you come late as an employee, and I give you a warning, and maybe at some stage a final warning, and then I put you in a hearing and dismiss you, okay, if there is some kind of irregularity, it's small money, maybe a month or 2 months compensation, or you go and settle a bit, The other day yesterday somebody told me, they've dismissed a person for stealing without a procedure. They just chase a person away and they settle at the CCN for 120 rand. You see, so you can get away with things like that.
For how much?
120 rand. They settle for 120 rand unfair dismissal dispute, There are means and ways. I call it the dark side of labor law. There are ways of taking out your lightsaber, boom, 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 you make things go away, or arrange a sniper, I mean, not really, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, so you talk the language of capital. You know what is language of capital? You say to the person, listen, with this kind of dismissal, there's 2 lawsuits that will probably come. The one is in terms of Section 187 of the Labour Relations Act, which is an automatic unfair dismissal. Now, there the maximum compensation is 24 months of salary. But then we're not even talking about Section 6 of the Employment Equity Act, unfair discrimination. There's no limit there. Here we're talking about the infringement of human dignity because you dismiss somebody for a pregnancy. And I looked them deep in the eye and said, you know how much money you are going to pay?
So
I hope you have a steep bank account, because this cliff, Yeah.
So now did they change their mind and opt
Oh,
on
no, she
maybe,
did. No,
opt
she
on
did.
maybe employing someone on a temporary
I think
basis?
the light went on.
No, that's better because this is like I always say, this is now where we come in. Few years back, you once educated me on, a way of speaking to the heart. There's a tactic that you are using. I thought, I don't know which business were you talking to the owner to.
Oh, this was
To go
hospitality industry
yeah,
in
to go
terms of
BEE.
BE and transformation.
Yes.
And Mr. Whiteys, they don't see transformation for them. For a lot of Whiteys, BE is a black and white thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're not talking BE today.
Yeah, no, we're not talking. I'm
But
just
it's a
saying.
black and white thing. I don't understand the context necessarily.
I'm just saying now how
She talked to the heart.
the magic now that works. Talking to the heart and showing someone the bigger picture. That you're thinking of a small thing here, but it's actually bigger than you think.
I like to talk to them also about the morality of the situation. It is like, at the end of the day, when a woman needs the bigger support, now you want to let the person go. You make them feel bad. It's like, how can you do that? I mean, seriously? And you don't even have to pay her. She can claim UIF. Give her the time off. And then I asked them, but listen, think about this really. How would you have dealt with this? Let's say a woman is working for you for 5 years and now she falls pregnant. Okay? What would you have done? No, we would have found a temporary replacement. So what's the difference between somebody working 5 years and 1 week? Find a temporary replacement. It's the same bloody thing, man.
Yeah.
It is just an emotional inconvenience.
No, I think again, it goes with. Yeah, but the temporary person does not know the culture of the business.
But she's not going to know the culture 5 years later either. You know what I actually told this one guy? And I told him, so when is it a convenient time for a woman to get pregnant? When can a woman then get very pregnant?
No, there's no such
Is it
thing.
today or in 5 years' time? When does it suit you?
There's no such thing as the convenient time.
Eh?
There's no such thing as the convenient. No, I'm just saying people to remember they
Yeah, but you
think.
see that same man tonight, he wants to go make his wife pregnant, you see. You wasn't telling where's a convenient time now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the level of thinking, it's always closed. Goes back to what you say. Capital versus
labor. My
labor.
interest.
You understand? My interest is that I trust her because she's the one who's always authorizing financial stuff in the business. This one is new. I have to teach her. I have to sit with her for like 3 weeks, micromanage her and something. But this one,
But Chip, I want to say to you something here, and please don't crucify me because it may be contentious. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's just my perception of being in the field, you see. South Africa, when we talk about discrimination, we always talk about racial discrimination, white versus black and Indian and Jewish and whatever the case may be. But I don't find so much racial discrimination out there. Of course it exists. I know it exists. But discrimination against women, it's, in my experience, much more prevalent than racial discrimination in this country. It really is. I have so many female colleagues that tells me, and you who are an HR manager out there who's a woman, I know this is probably true. You'll sit in the EXCO or on the MANCO board, you'll come up with a strategic idea, and people will go, but if the guy says the same thing, it's like, oh, brilliant, man. Yes, we should implement immediately. But just because you're a woman, you said it's like, oh, no, we'll think about it.
that story is gonna open another.
I've
thing
heard this a lot, I'm telling you. And this thing about pregnancy, I mean, seriously, I mean, yes, it's a danger to be a woman in employment space, hey? Hierdie maar toemaak daar, want ek sê vir jou, die oomblik as jy pregnant is, nee,
No,
your bosses are having a problem.
you are opening another loophole, but we're not gonna touch that. Maybe we can have an episode.
Yeah, and I'm
on
just
that.
trying to say that, you know, it's a challenge to be a woman in the democratic world. Anyway, Section 6 of the Employment Equity Act. No person may unfairly discriminate directly or indirectly against an employee in any employment policy or practice on one or more grounds, including race, gender, sex, pregnancy, marital status, family responsibility, ethnic or social origin, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, religion, HIV status, conscience, belief, political opinion, culture, language, and birth. It's prohibited. But we like that cliff, you know. Yeah.
Fire.
It's like telling somebody, you know, if you can continue on this road, there's a fire there in the front. But we can still going to walk through that fire. Don't play with this. The consequences are enormous. Find your temporary replacement and just do the right thing. We need pregnant women. Otherwise, there's no South Africa. So there's no future.
And be patient.
And be patient.
Because I think another thing that is going against, people are always going against, it's patience. That's why I'm always advertising to the people that they must talk to us so that we can advise them, so that they don't fall into that cliff. You understand? That's where we will come in.
That's sometimes without the conscience. Yeah, I just want to quickly touch base on a case law where a pregnant woman was retrenched. But look at capital, man. Hey, I love capitalists. You know, Tsepo, without capitalism, you know, we won't see buildings and empires and stuff. Now, there will be no employment. I love the way employers think. Look at this one. It's a labor court case between Brandt, who was the financial manager of the company, and Quinn Rock Wines. Now, this woman was the financial manager, and she fell pregnant, and there was a complication with the pregnancy. So she gave birth early, prematurely a bit. Now, obviously, it was a massive inconvenience for the employer, as it always apparently is, but anyway. So she managed to find a person in the company to help her with some of her duties. So she shared some of her responsibilities with some of the other staff in the office that could actually help her. And then the employer, the light went on. Considering other people can help her with her duties, then we don't need this position anymore. Now the position is redundant.
Yeah.
And now they started a Section 189 retrenchment process. And they actually retrenched her. Because if other people can do some of her job, then we don't need her. That was just an excuse, obviously, you know, for later replacing her anyway. It's a way of arguing, how can we get away with this person, get rid of this person. Now, we're not doing Section 189 now. I think we did it sometime in the past. But, you know, it's easy. It's also capital versus labor. It's interesting, you know, when it comes to wanting to get rid of unwanted employees, how suddenly a position is redundant. Nah, suddenly we don't need that. Which court is going to tell me which positions I must have in my company, you see. But anyway, in this case, the court said, no. The real reason for you retrenching, or your real operational reasons here, is got nothing to do with your operational requirements. It's linked to her pregnancy. And they actually ordered 16 months in compensation. A lot of money, yeah. So for the ladies out there, this is Women's Month, by the way. So we are... we should have had our pink cap or something, Tsepo.
No, pink is representing Cancer Month. I think it's October.
No. It's the ladies too. It's Women's Month. So we are giving this one for the ladies. Go and fall pregnant. And if your boss has a problem with you, speak to us. Speak to us, Tsepo. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
Can you say Mbogoto?
Imbogoto. What does that mean?
Mbogoto, it means a strong woman.
Yeah, strong woman.
Yes, it's a Mbogoto.
Yeah.
So this month it's a Mbogoto month.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So now you must remember, you get capital on the one hand and labor on the other hand. And they both have...
Next week on It's Chaile Time.
Today, it's just a bit of a academic value to HR managers and IR practitioners who deals with large-scale retrenchment. So I just want to quickly touch base on in essence, the difference between a small and a large scale in terms of the Labour Relations Act. But then we want to focus on the disclosure of information.